Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video in Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Lucian updated complete guide for patch 5.0. So Lucian has been buffed quite a bit of times, and his items have also been buffed. Items like Triforce, like Solari Charge Blade, and of course that means it's time to relook at his build and update it for the latest patch. So first things first, of course don't forget to check out Lucian's basic guide for his skills, living order, tips and tricks, as well as combos. I will link that up in the cards above. But with all that said, let's jump into his build. So first up, you want to start off with the Gluttonous Greaves. Gives you the early AD as well as the Omnivamp. Now you could also opt into Lethality Boots, but personally I'm never really a fan of Lethality Boots on ADCs because I think the Omnivamp is just more useful in the long run, whereas Lethality Boots is a lot more useful for snowballing in the early game. Then you want to start off with the first item, Bloodthirster. So Bloodthirster is going to give you a huge injection of AD, give you the physical vamp, as well as, of course, it gives you the bonus stats when you're high on health. Then you're going to go into Triforce, which is going to give you a little bit of max health to make you more tanky, a little bit of AD, and Ability Haste. Ability Haste, of course, very useful on Lucian, who's a spell casting ADC. And it's going to give you the Spell Blade passive, which is what you're really after here. Because Lucian, as we all know, between all of his spells, he auto-attacks to proc his passive, which is then going to, of course, proc the Spell Blade passive on Triforce as well to boost your auto-attack damage. And then tying into that, you also get Slurry Charge Blade, which again, whenever you cast a spell, is going to give you a stack of Radiance, and when you auto-attack, it consumes the stack, which once again ties into Lucian's playstyle of casting spells, then auto-attacking, casting spells, then auto-attacking. So this is going to give you a burst of magic damage. So altogether, you're going to get the burst of magic damage from Charge Blade, you're going to get the Spell Blade passive from Triforce, and you're also going to get Kraken Slayer procs off of your auto-attacks, so a lot of extra burst damage from those auto-attacks. So of course, other than that, it also gives you even more ability haste, gives you, something like attack speed and stuff as well. Attack speed, Lucian doesn't care too much about it, but, of course, getting off those auto attacks a little bit quicker is always going to be nice. So next up, we have the Mortal Reminder. So Mortal Reminder, of course, gives you Armor Pen as well as the Grievous Wounds. Of course, it once again increases your crit, which ties into this crit build. Now, you honestly don't have to go for 100% crit, so you could actually go for Serelda's Grudge here as well, instead of going for the Mortal Reminder, because it's really useful having slows on Lucian, particularly to hit your ultimate. And for a last item, I've actually gone for IE to reach 100% crit, so this gives you of course, the extra crit damage as well as the extra attack damage, but honestly, you do have a lot of other options as your last item. So if you want to go for more crit items, you could go for like safety, for example, going for Navori Quick Blades, for even faster cooldowns. You could go for Magnetic Blaster for the extra range, and you could even go for Shield Bow over here for the defensive capabilities, and you could also even go for Essence Reaver as your last item. You might note the fact that Essence Reaver is missing when it's normally like a core item on Lucian, and normally you build it as a first item, but honestly with items like Bloodthirster and Triforce, Essence Reaver probably, it is not as competitive as these items anymore considering the price difference. So Essence Reaver is not really a part of Lucian's build anymore, because Essence Reaver is about 3k gold, and for just a little bit more, you can get Bloodthirster and Triforce. Now, the 300 difference is a pretty big deal in terms of how cheap or expensive an item is, but honestly, Bloodthirster and Triforce are just so strong items at the moment that Essence Reaver is not really in Lucian's build. And of course, instead of IE, you could also go for defensive options like your GA and your Maw and things like that, of course, if you need it, depending on the situation. So for the runes, you want to go for, of course, your Kraken Slayer, which you can, of course, proc very easily with Lucian because of your double auto attack. So every 3 attacks is going to proc Kraken Slayer. Of course, you're going to go for Brutal. Again, you auto attack in between all of your spells. So you're going to proc Brutal a lot. Giant Slayer, because it gives you the most damage in this rune slot, because not everyone, but most champs in the game get some form of bonus health. And then you're going to go for Bloodline, because once again, you don't care about attack speed, so you want the extra Omnivamp. And finally, you go for Bone Plating for the for the laning power as well as the anti-burst. You could also go for Sudden Impact if you want a more aggressive option, because whenever you dash, you get 13 pen, so that but it will give you a lot of extra damage, especially in the early game. So lastly, for your spells, you want to go for Flash and Exhaust, because you're a really low range ADC, so you're generally going to be in Exhaust range majority of the time, so Exhaust is going to come in really handy in those 1v1s and in those team fights as well. But with all that said, now let's jump into our gameplay. Alrighty, so first things first, of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll of course be sure to address them. So Lucian, one of my most favorite champions to play, probably only second to Jhin. Jhin is like my favorite champion in the Wild Rift, to play. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying Lucian. I feel like Lucian is honestly not that weak anymore after all of the buffs. But we're straight into the action, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So first thing, importantly, I exhaust the Ezreal to prevent my Nami from taking too much damage. Honestly, it's like Ezreal's focusing Nami and I'm just focusing the Thresh, because Thresh was in front. And honestly, the decision-making process there is pretty interesting, because normally you want to focus the enemy ADC because he's the damage dealer. But in this case, because I got the initial damage onto the Thresh, I decided to continue focusing the Thresh because at least we have some kill pressure on the Thresh. But if I swap my targets to Ezreal, then both of them will be like, chunked but not low. So basically, Ezreal kind of did the same thing where he focused Nami because Nami was the one who got hooked. And essentially, it's just a couple of summoner spells blown on both sides. Actually, the enemy team blows all of their summoners, and basically, my side blows everything except my flash. So we do have a summoner advantage here because I do have my flash still, and the enemy team doesn't have any summoner spells. So, as I was trying to allude to earlier, Lucian has gotten a bunch of buffs because he basically got very weak when the hyper carry meta started, and the Jinxes and the Tristanas, Kaisas started taking over. Lucian became really, really weak, like from S+ tier dropping all the way to like A tier, or B tier, that kind of thing. So he was really weak, and they buffed him I think 2 or 3 times, and now he's actually pretty alright. Like I wouldn't really say he's strong, but I would say that he is pretty decent, decent to good. So he's definitely playable. He's not completely unplayable anymore, and he's still pretty alright. Especially when you play Nami. Nami obviously is the best champion to play Lucian with because she can empower you and let you deal even more extra damage, and she can also speed you up, things like that. And speaking of which, we are able to actually kill the Thresh and we exhaust the Ezreal. Now here, we tried to do the stun where we use Nami to body block the damage from Ezreal, but Ezreal doesn't actually fall for the trick. So instead of launching his Qs into Nami and wasting his damage, he actually just straight up ignores Nami and auto attacks me. And by the time I realized that he's not falling for the trick and I'm trying to run away, it was a little bit too late because he's actually able to get off enough auto attacks to kill me. Now you have to consider that Ezreal now is really strong in the early game as well, which feels really weird to say because Ezreal shouldn't really be that strong in the early game. But with with Kraken Slayer now as his main rune, Ezreal actually does a lot of damage in the early game because of how he can proc Kraken Slayer very easily with his auto Q auto, or Q auto for example. So he actually does a lot of damage in the early game and he's able to finish me off. And now Ezreal has 2 kills. He has Tyr and his boots already, so he is in a really, really strong spot. Now of course combat wise we're the same because Tyr doesn't actually give you any combat stats, but he is really accelerated in gold if you take that into account. So here, once again, as Lucian, you generally are trying to CS and at the same time trying to Q through minions and trying to hit enemies with your Q to try to get a little bit of chip damage onto them. But of course this isn't always possible because most enemies know that, and they generally are not going to stand at a position where you can easily hit them. Here Thresh tries to walk up. I try to actually predict his flay and move aside, but unfortunately I do get hit by it anyways. I do dodge the hook though, and I'm able to focus down the Thresh. Nami gets the kill unfortunately, and Ezreal is actually really low, but I don't have any spells up, and Lucian is a spellcaster and he has really low range, so I'm not able to finish off the kill. Ezreal actually jumps back in and he exhausts me, which actually saves his life. Without the exhaust I would have killed him there. So again, another very spicy exchange. I'm pretty low on health and mana, but Ezreal is close to dead. He obviously has to reset, which gives me the opportunity to quickly shove this huge wave in. I do miss both minions because my minion wave is too huge, and it's really hard to CS when there's a huge minion wave. Thresh comes in to face check the burst. I'm gonna have to cancel my recall and walk further back. He comes again to cancel my recall, so I'm gonna have to walk even further back, and I'm finally able to recall under the tower. Might lose a little bit of minions because of all of those cancels, but it does take quite a while for them to deal with all of those minions that I've shoved in. So now they have gotten the shove into my tower, so I'm gonna lose some minions now, but I'm headed back to lane as quickly as I can, trying to minimize my losses. I actually only lose 1 minion, and I did get the XP from the rest of the minions here. Didn't really get the last hits, but I did get the XP, which is, you know, at least something. So here we're taking a little bit of poke from Ezreal, which is pretty natural in the Ezreal lane to eat a little bit of poke. And once again, we are not able to complete the kill on Ezreal, so he is still, you know, ahead of us by like 400 gold. Although Nami is ahead of Thresh by almost 400 gold, so in terms of the overall bot lane, it's kind of equal if you take into account both ADC and support. But regardless, we of course want to look to get some kills and look to snowball the game, because Lucian really is very strong in the early game, but he gets, you know, if he doesn't snowball, he's definitely weak in the mid and late game. So here I'm just launching the culling down to try to, you know, do something, but I overcommit here trying to get a kill on Master Yi, and I end up just dying for it, which was not a very intelligent choice by me, because you don't really want to dash into 4 people. Like, even if I completed the kill there, I still would have died, so I should have been a little bit more conservative. But my rationale is that the enemy team is going to dive me anyway as 4 men. I'm probably going to die anyway, so I probably should just try to get a kill back earlier on. Doesn't quite work out, so I don't know, it's kind of getting caught between a rock and a hard place. No real like amazing decision to be made here, except maybe just not going to the dragon area altogether. So it's not really working out. I'm now 1-2-1, not, you know, not looking too hot. Actually, this is kind of a really unique Lucian game where I actually get quite far behind in the early game. Now I'm like over 1k gold behind Ezreal, who I'm just chunking out because he's busy shopping. But I'm not like over 1k gold behind Ezreal, and generally when you fall behind on Lucian in the early game, you're not gonna have a good game. But this is actually one of those interesting games where, despite falling behind in the early game, I actually end up having a very decent mid and late game, which is not very common because most of the time Lucian's success comes from dominating in the early game, getting some kills and snowballing, and normally if you're behind or even in the early game, you're not really going to do very well for the rest of the game. But this is just one of those unique ones where we actually managed to come back in the mid and late game as a team and, you know, as an individual as well, and we're going to of course showcase some of that a little bit later on. You'll see what happens. But yeah, so here we're getting some tower plays because Ezreal has backed, and Thresh can't really defend the tower too much on his own. Actually, Ezreal does manage to get back in because of the Thresh Lantern, and we get punished for over greeting for tower plates. And honestly, this mainly is because of Thresh. Like, Thresh Lantern actually reduces the distance Ezreal has to walk by quite a fair amount, and it's because of that that Ezreal is actually able to get in and kill Nami, which normally wouldn't happen because Ezreal wouldn't actually have, you know, he would have needed to walk a little bit more. So here I get flayed in by the Thresh, I get hooked, and I'm taking a bunch of damage. I exhaust Ezreal just to be safe, and I'm walking forward to, you know, dodge the Ezreal ult and ensure that, you know, I don't die to it. So anyways, here now I'm able to clean up the rest of the wave that has shoved in, and I'm gonna just back and, you know, complete my Bloodthirster. So again, not too good of a start. Ezreal's getting really fed, 3-0 and 3, you know, on the scoreboard for him. Jax is really fed on the enemy team as well. He's now 5-2. Yi 0-0 and 6, not doing too badly. You know, whole enemy team is really doing very well. My team is not doing too hot now. Of course, I, you know, died a couple of times. Nami died a couple of times. Gwen 0 is 0-2. And you know, Yasuo and Malphite not doing the best either. So as a whole team, we're actually behind by like 6k gold, which is not, you know, not a negligible amount. It's a pretty good amount of gold to be behind by. So the enemy bot lane actually rotates mid, which actually gives us an opportunity to actually try to push for this tower. Now, unfortunately, Ori and Yi actually come to defend, so it's a little bit hard to actually force. But with the Gwen and with Nami, we're trying our best to force it down. Now, Jax is actually on the rotation. So, Gwen actually secures the tower and pings for assistance, but there's no way we can go back to help her because she's definitely dead. Jax is going to cut her off no matter what, so she's dead meat. So here the smarter decision is to actually just leave her to die, because it's better her as one person dies than all of us die. So here is where the turning point of the game really comes. The enemy team is all stuck in the choke. Malphite goes in with the ulti. Yasuo follows up with the ulti. I follow up with the culling. I kill Thresh, dashing in on the Ori as well as the Master Yi. We actually get all of them, and now Jax is stuck behind all of us and he has nowhere to go. And he does end up dying as well. So 4 members of the enemy team end up dying in trade for basically Malphite and Gwen. So we trade 2 for 4, and that's really, I think, the first big swing of the game, because from a 6k gold deficit, it becomes a 4k gold deficit, which is, you know, where our team starts to kind of get back into the game. So now we really need to look for more fights like this where we win the fight as a team, to really try to close the gap between us and the enemy team, and really kind of go for it. Now the good news here is that we have a nasty wombo combo with the Nami ult, Malphite ult, and the Yasuo ult. So if Nami or Malphite can get off a good ulti onto the backline, Yasuo can go in and destroy their backline while I cull them down in all of that CC. So now my entire team has ult up again. Nami goes for the combo into Yasuo combo, into Malphite combo, and into my ulti as well. Instantly we one-shot like Orianna and like Master Yi. Yeah, Ezreal and Thresh at critical HP. Jax tries to go on top of me, but I'm kiting him out, culling him down as well. And Ezreal and Thresh, sorry, have to kind of run away because there's not very much they can do. Thresh actually still looking for more. Malphite picks up the fruit, and I'm just focusing down the dragon. Ezreal and Thresh still around. Thresh flays me, brings in Jax, but I'm actually alive because my team is helping me out. I'm kiting out the Jax. Jax is now stuck on 1 HP. He dies. Ezreal tries to go in 1v4, actually manages to kill me, as well as the Gwen, I believe, but he does end up going down eventually. So overall, still positive for my team, because we did get some shutdowns, and this lessens the gap from 6k to 4k and now to 2k, so we really have a very strong team fight. Now if you really look at the situation, our team fight is a lot stronger because of course we have the wombo combo of Malphite, Yasuo, and Nami, and of course on top of that we have Gwen and Lucian to just launch like cullings and the Gwen ulti. I'm not sure what they call needlework into them while they're getting pelted by the wombo combo. Whereas on their team, they don't really have any wombo combo, and Jax is not the best team fighter. Neither is Master Yi, and neither is Ezreal for that matter. So they really are losing out in terms of team fights, and it's slowly letting us come back into the game. And yeah, so we're kind of clawing our way back into the game slowly but surely. You can see that at this point we're getting a pretty good amount of gold, and we actually have more gold than Jax, Master Yi, and Orianna at the moment, just slightly, but we do have more gold than them, so we're definitely getting back into the game. We have our BT, we have our Triforce completed, and we're at a 2-item power spike. Of course, you spike on every item, so we're really in a pretty good spot. Now here I'm trying to actually go to mid lane, but the issue is that there's enemy members threatening the choke points. I'm gonna have to walk the long way around. Meanwhile, Jax is just split pushing on top, so we really need to make something happen now, and now Jax is gonna get towers for free. So now we have two options here, either to engage or to stop Jax. So me and Yasuo decide to go and stop Jax. Hopefully our team does not start a fight without us. Jax does get the tower, but he looks like he's gonna die for it. On the rotation, my team actually gets caught up by the shockwave, and here we pull off the combo again. Master Yi runs down the Nami, I get the Jax, and now Master Yi is deep into enemy territory. He goes down. Malphite hits the ulti and CCs 2 of them for us. We kill all of them. I flash the wall, dashing onto the Ori and finishing her off with my full combo, and we do end up winning the fight with me and Yasuo left alive and acing the enemy team. And once again, despite being at a goal deficit, we are winning the fight. So really, this game really goes to show you how sometimes the wombo combo is just too strong to play against. Like, their team is so far ahead, but there's nothing they can do when they get chain CC'd, and you can't press any buttons anyway. It doesn't matter how much gold you have if you can't press your buttons. So we do, wombo combo them again, and we do win another team fight, the third team fight in a row that we have basically won. And when I say won, basically means that we have more people left alive than them. I consider that a win, particularly when you're behind. And honestly, at this point, I have more gold than everyone on the enemy team except Ezreal, who's like 1k gold ahead of me, and I'm slowly closing the gap between me and Ezreal, getting the red buff, farming the Raptors, and just maximizing my gold. Neither Lucian nor Ezreal are really hyper carries. They're sort of like champions that spike in the early to mid game, so really as long as I'm keeping up with Ezreal, I'm kind of good. Like, I'm not against like a Zeri or a Jinx that's gonna outscale me in the late game. I'm against an Ezreal who has similar scaling to me, so I'm in a pretty good spot in that respect. So here Master Yi greeting over a ward. We're trying to catch him out because of that. Thresh actually comes in with the Flay, and I'm focusing the first target, which is Thresh. Jax is coming in. I'm just walking away to prevent myself from getting CC. I'm really just focusing whoever's in my range here. Trying to focus on the Thresh because he's playing very, very aggressively. We finish him off, and we're trying to dash out to safety. Jax comes in, but he doesn't have the counter-strike up. So we're focusing him down. We get the kill onto him as well. And now we're trying to focus Ezreal. We get the kill on Ezreal, and honestly here, I thought I could finish off the Orianna, but Orianna actually kills me. And the mistake that I made here was not exhausting, because I was just overconfident and I thought that I could kill Orianna without exhausting her. No need to waste the exhaust. But she ends up killing me instead and getting the shutdown on me. Only Orianna and Nami are left alive. So overall, I would say that that fight went pretty evenly. And there's still a 5k gold deficit between my team. Like, the gold deficit has been ping-ponging from like 3 to 5k gold. So yeah, they do get our shutdowns now. So I would say that we technically lost that fight because we won the past few fights. But now we're giving over the shutdowns. So we kind of lost that fight because we lost the shutdowns. Anyways, regardless, we are able to complete our slurry charge blade. So 3 core items now in the bag. And this is where Lucian really starts to shine. You get the damage and the healing from BT. You get the Spell Blade and the Sunburst from, of course, your Triforce and your Charge Blade. And that's where you really can burst people down with your auto attacks in between casting your abilities. So here Baron is up. So I'm going to stay on the Baron side to kind of ensure the enemy team can't just go for Baron like that. And we are going to be in an area to kind of contest it. Master Yi is in our jungle trying to maybe steal our blue or our Grom, but we're not going to let him have it. We're going to defend our jungle and clear up the minion wave in the meantime. And here we're just taking the jungle creeps for ourselves. Here a fight kind of breaks out. Again, I'm starting off with the culling to reduce their health as much as I can. Then I'm going in, focusing whoever I can. I focus the Thresh initially, but Master Yi becomes the easier target. While he's in the GA, we focus down Jax and kill the Jax. Then we're trying to focus down, of course, the next target. I flash the Shockwave, going for the kills, and we are able to basically wipe the enemy team off the face of the earth, and that should be enough to win the game. We did lose Malphite and Yasuo in the exchange, but without anyone on the enemy team to defend, and with a wave in the mid, me, Gwen, and Nami should be able to just close out the game. So that is pretty much gonna be it for the video. I'm gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.